This is so weird. This is so weird.
I think Lowell has like a really exciting, like emerging subcultures in it that, like specifically within the arts. Like there's a great music, like underground music scene in Lowell. Just like great food, and it's like really multicultural. So there's like a lot of unique places and experiences and people, and yeah, I always find that exciting. But I also think just because of the school and like it's kind of blowing up as like an engineering and nursing school, but also with that our arts programs are being lifted up more and more each year. There was like a little bit of a setback with COVID, but it's pretty good. Yeah, it doesn't actually have a title yet. I'm kind of like between a few things, but I feel like naming it is hard because like I am still revising the script and like it's going through all these changes. But it's basically about three women in the mid 1830s, and they're trying to some of them are trying to organize labor, activism, and organize a union within the mill. It's like, I'm calling it the gin mill in the script, but it's really just like any generic mill in Lowell. That's like the premise, and then, or that's where we start. And then we're introduced to this like supernatural element of the factory being like sentient. There's a mill, a power loom in the basement that is like a flesh-eating monster kind of thing. So it's really like about kind of like horror in the face of like unstoppable capitalism, I guess, which is something that like scares me. And I also thought was like super relevant to Lowell and to today. Like it's almost exactly the things that they're complaining about in the 1830s have not improved in many departments. So I just thought it was relevant as well. Yeah, so the main character, Sarah, who's based on like a couple historical figures. Sarah Bagley is like a hugely important labor activist from that era. But I didn't want to directly like name her or anything. It's just kind of like a reference to her, because there is alterations and stuff that they are, her and her friend Miriam are like lovers. So I'm queer, and I think I connect to queer relationships more, and I find them like easier to write and more relatable to me, because there's kind of like an unspoken like understanding between you and that other person when you know that you share this identity, and that brings Miriam and Sarah very close to each other, not just as like people who are in the labor like movement, but also like are hiding this kind of sacred, secret identity. And then also additionally, I think like labor rights is not something that the queer community focuses on a lot, and it frustrates me. And so I thought like adding that angle in makes it applicable to like, yeah, anyone really, I guess. Opens the floor a bit more, maybe. I came up with the idea like a year and a half ago, maybe now, or something. And it was just kind of sitting in the back of my mind for a little bit. And then I decided that I was really interested in the story and fleshing it out more. So then I went into a bit of research first and then just started writing just to have like story take precedent over historical stuff. And then I went back into research, and that was all happening over the summer. And then since the fall, I have been focused on locations mostly, and because we're trying to film in real historical locations, so getting permits for those and stuff is like pretty crucial, because if that like doesn't work out, then we don't really have a movie, because we would need to remove like lots of stuff. But that's going pretty well. And then right now we're kind of in a mix of casting and costume design stuff, props, that kind of thing. We're planning to shoot in March. So yeah, it's kicking into gear. I started with like a month or like roughly of just like researching the general background, and then when I settled on the year that the story was set in, I was looking at a lot of archived newspaper and like firsthand sources from that specific year. And then right now I'm kind of in like a design research phase of looking at costuming and like what people would be wearing to work, to sleep, that kind of thing. And then with costuming also like set dressing and stuff, like what would be decorating rooms and what silverware and stuff people would use. I'm trying not to obsess over it too much because it is like a student film, so I don't have all the money in the world to make it like perfectly, unbelievably accurate, but I would like, given the chance, I would like to do as much as I can.
What are some ways you like to see Lowell grow and change?
That's a really good question. That's hard to say as someone that didn't grow up here, because I don't want to like come in and be like, I don't like this about the city. But I think I can speak to things that I would like to see differently on campus at UML. And I think my film is kind of an expression of like some of those thoughts. That being like, the school is very geared towards engineering and the sciences and stuff, which is great, but a lot of people in the engineering program come out of it and then immediately go work for like Raytheon and make ballistic missiles, which is not something that I really think is like great. Or not just that, there's like other people, like we had a TA strike, and now we have a TA union at school. We have a postgraduate union at school. We don't have an undergraduate one, but I guess that's kind of in the works. But I think like a lot of people on campus are not conscious about like what they're working for, or maybe don't have like they don't have the tools or like ability to stand up for themselves in their work environment. And that's something that I would like to see different on campus and just in the world too, which is like centrally tied to the themes of the movie. So yeah, I would say Lowell is like real. Yeah, that's a good one. Real, changing, and maybe just like generally strong. Like I think the history here that's very far from where we are now, but those people endured a lot. Lowell has endured a lot throughout like the years, and the city's like always changed and evolved and adapted and always kept it real.
So, like, were you ever able to go there? Did you know anyone who went there? Did you interview anyone who went there?
Well, that is the thing. So the Moody Gardens Cafe was ultimately torn down during urban renewal in that section of the city. But Lynn Barry, who was a patron of, lived in Lowell and went to the Moody Gardens Cafe, I found an oral history someone had done with her at the History Project in Boston. And then also in Joan Nessel's book, which I think is the title is A Restricted Country, she talks about having come up to Lowell from New York City on behalf of the Lesbian History Archives to document these amazing women who attended this bar. So was able to do a little oral history with Lynn, and then we held a big event at the library. And I was just saying to a colleague what was really remarkable. So Lynn is of a generation that, kind of came of age in the bars, finding community in a very hostile world. But that generation, a lot of her friends have passed away. But we had the event, and what was remarkable was Lynn was there and maybe one other former patron, but the children of former patrons who were so proud of their mothers, for their mothers' bravery, tenacity, willingness to live out who they were, knowing they were going to be arrested, they could possibly face physical violence. So was able.
That's definitely like a remarkable thing, and I definitely admire the bravery of that too.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, I think when I was reading the article, was there something about there being a previous bar before that as well?
Yeah, so the Moody Gardens itself dates back to the 1930s, and it was owned by the Dondero family, and by the 1950s, it had hit what I don't know if it was Lynn or another narrator described as rock bottom. But across from the Moody Gardens was the Silver Star bar. And they had a all-women country western band that played and drew a huge crowd of gay men and lesbians. And then at some point, the proprietors kicked the band out and kind of somehow made the gay and lesbian crowd feel unwelcome. Well, across the street at the Moody Gardens, they were at rock bottom. So they invited the band there. So the band came, and along came everybody else.
That's awesome.
And kind of brought it back to life.
No, that makes sense. That's definitely cool to hear about. So kind of going off of the Moody Street Cafe not really being a thing anymore, do you know of any places in Lowell that are LGBT spaces or LGBT friendly?
That is such a good question. I mean, I hesitate to name things that I'm not positive, not because there's anything wrong with it, but I don't want to misinformation.
No, that's understandable.
I know that Western Ave Studios, they have a bar in the basement and often do drag shows down there.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, very fun.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're still doing that, but... and then, I hate to say it, Nicole, off the top of my head, I can't really name a place.
No, that's okay. I think that one's cool. I didn't even know about that because I love drag brunches. So I'm going to a Rocky Horror one in a couple of weeks.
Sweet.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
But that's cool. I'll definitely have to check that out too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then, have you noticed recently in the last few years, or even like 5 to 10 years or so, like a shift in acceptance within the LGBT community and allies, or And if so, what do you think contributed to that?
Well, I mean, you would be hard-pressed to say there hasn't been progress.
Yeah.
There most assuredly has been progress. You'd also be a little short-sighted to say everything is just hunky-dory.
Yeah.
Because we obviously know it's not. And not just not hunky-dory in Florida, but, you know, I think young people still face some challenges and stigma.
Yeah.
So definitely things have come a long way. And some of the things that have kind of anchored the progress are things like, you know, passage of gay marriage or you know, any of those kinds of codifications kind of anchor the progress. So even though, you know, it would be a lie to say everybody is comfortable with everything.
Yeah.
There has been progress for sure.
I definitely agree with that statement too, and I feel like same-sex marriage legalizing was definitely huge, but I also think that it contributes to people still trying to take that away.
Oh, well,
stop it. Yeah.
It was amazing because in preparation for this, I went and dragged out all the Moody Garden stuff.
Yeah.
But there were, after we did the event at the library, so this is right after, no, significantly after gay marriage in Massachusetts, I started getting emails from people who were just so grateful that the history had been put out there because people want to connect with their history.
Yeah.
But one of the emails was from a man, he and his husband were the first people to get their marriage license at City Hall. And he had sent over the Lowell Sun article.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is huge.
Terry, what did you think of that interview with Beth Brassel? I couldn't agree more, Terry. Anyways, Cam, do you remember what's next?
An interview with Beth Brassel?
Lowell is not just, you know, the American dream, but also your dream as well.
That's a really good way to put it. I like that. I might have to steal that sometime. I'll credit you, though, I promise.
Okay, so we are on the first floor of the Cambodian Mutual Assistance Association where we provide our services. So especially here we have our front desk, and this is where we provide all the services coming from, again, the wraparound services such as first-time home buyer, citizenship help, green card help, and especially with Mass Health, this is where we provide everything as well. And now we walk this way. So our first classroom here, this is where we teach, well, we don't teach, we partnership with ESL from Lowell High, and they provide evening classes, morning classes, and from Monday to Friday. And especially we have an upcoming program for our Monodum program, which is a program that provides help for the families that has disabilities. And especially we're starting up a program from 1 to 3, starting Monday to Friday, where parents can drop off their children here so that they can have some free time as well. So my affiliation with Lowell is that I was born and raised here, and I do work in Lowell itself, especially with the Cambodian Mutual Assistance Association. I've been here for about 6 years, starting in 2016.
How long has CMAA been established as a foundation, and was it here before you started working here?
Oh yeah, CMAA has been here since 1984, so we have our annual gala coming up, which is the 38th anniversary. Well, one of our biggest events is the Cambodian New Year event that we host at the Senior Center every single year. So that's hosted in April, and we would have that for one day, but we celebrate it for the whole month for Lowell. And that event, we start at the Senior Center, we do a big parade going to Roberto Clemente Park, which is called Island Park. It would end up there with their festivities as well. So that's one of the biggest ones. The second would also be the gala that we have. And minor ones would be the annual meeting and other like open houses for CMA. We partnership with CBA, Girls Inc., Center of Hope and Healing, CBA, Coalition for a Better Acre. So with CMA, we provide translations and interpretations for all of our clients, especially if you don't speak Khmer. We can also look for a Spanish translator, Vietnamese, or any type of language as well.
What are some of the challenges that the Cambodian community or other ethnic minority groups face in Lowell in general?
I feel like, especially for the Cambodian community and the ethnic community, it's also language barrier. So especially Lowell being the very diverse and stuff, but even though there's not a lot of organizations that help certain ethnic groups, like for example, if you're talking about the Nepalese, we have a Nepalese community here, which they don't have too much of a voice, or like the Burmese community. Especially for the Cambodians who've been here for 38 years, or more than 38 years, but at least we have something that helps us, but we're trying to help them as well. So over here we have the Manoram program. This is the class, not the class, this is the office where we have Manoram clients come in and we help them with translation, interpretation, and other services that we provide also is to bring them to doctor appointments, setting up doctor appointments, and also meeting with the doctor so that they can get better help as well. So a lot of documents that we have for translations are they come from the Office of the Secretary of State. That's one. Also, we have documents coming from the city of Lowell. And especially with COVID, we had a lot of COVID translations as well. So a lot of them are coming from the state. I feel like the pandemic affected everyone as a whole. So especially with the Cambodian community, a lot of stuff was, you can say, put back because of COVID itself. Especially when it came to having them come out and actually do stuff, they're actually scared. So especially this year, having every program being opened up to everyone now, everyone is coming back to us. A lot of our students from the youth program, they're coming from Cambodia. So the majority of them are like first year, second year, and they come here. They seek CMAA so that it's like a bridge to pay them into the American life. So especially with that, we help them with that. But certain Cambodians that don't come to us, they would have the hardship until they meet us. Then another situation would be that parents are overworked, or they try to work more to get extra income, and they don't have the time to support their child or give them the advice that they need when they're growing up.
And so kind of based off those things, are those some of the things you try to target when youth people come here?
Yep. So especially with CMAA, we target a lot of our youth so that they can have mentors. Especially with me and my coworker, we try to talk to our students so that they can always, of course, we always want our students to have better education or try to go for high level education. So especially, for me, I'm only 23 and I have students who are 20 and they're in college and stuff. So me seeing them entering college is okay, I'm happy I did my job. I did my goal. So it gives me some pride at the end.
Yeah. That sounds like a really rewarding kind of thing that happens here. And I'm glad that you're able to hold space for those kind of things happening.
So here we are entering the youth program. The youth program opens from Monday to Friday. And each day we teach them something different. Especially for Monday, we teach them Khmer language, Khmer letters, basically Khmer literature. Then Tuesdays we talk about the culture. Wednesday it's STEM day. Thursday we have Cambodian instruments. So behind you, that's where we teach the kids instruments.
And then what is the age range for this group?
So the age range is from 7 to 16. Yep. Then Friday, which is our last day, is Cambodian dance day. So that's where we teach them classical dance.
And you do that here?
Yes, we do.
I noticed that your mission statement says to improve the quality of life for Cambodian Americans and other ethnic minorities and disadvantaged persons through educational, cultural, economic, and social programs. And then so what are some ways since you've been here that goal has been reached, and what are some ways that you hope that it improves or other goals are reached?
So with CMAA, we have 4 departments. So we have the Civic Engagement Department, the Youth Department, and we have Manoram, and also the wraparound services. So within all those 4 departments, we provide all these services to help the community, especially with wraparound. We help with translation, green card, mass health, any type of health insurance, citizenship. So we have a whole bunch for wraparound. When it comes to civics, of course, is the civic engagement. We're trying to spread the love of civics towards everyone so that they can have their voice heard. Then we have the Manoram program, where we help the disadvantaged families that have family members who have disabilities. So we're helping families with them, especially with the youth program. We're helping them with different programs to teach them about their roots, especially them being born here. They don't have the ability to learn certain languages that they will learn in Cambodia.
And then if you could describe Lowell in 3 words, what would you describe it as?
Lowell, I would describe as diverse. That's one. Beautiful. Not all of Lowell is beautiful, but the majority is beautiful. And bustling.
Bustling, yeah. I think that's a great way to describe it too. Well, thank you for your time. Did you have anything else you wanted to say or add?
Not at the moment, but thank you very much.
Of course. All right. Well, that's it. Thank you.
So what is the Black community like in Lowell?
Girl. I think I would say that the Black community is coming together much more often. I think that we are coming out to more community events, which again is a beautiful thing because I haven't felt that I needed to intentionally gather us because other people are now doing that work, which again is a beautiful thing. I think that it is again hard to find us outside of like these like tailored events, like it's a Black History Month event or it's the the Pan American flag raising and then we're there. I think it's still kind of tough to figure out like where are we going to be, but we are coming out a bit more often. I think it could be worked on a lot more. I think that there are some particular groups, like there is, Free Soil Arts, who are doing a lot of things with the community of color at a large scale, which is awesome. There is the African American Community Council, I believe is. So many places have acronyms, and I try to get them right, but I'm human. I'm trying to shout y'all out there. I see y'all doing great things. So there are groups that I think are being intentional with gathering. And still, I think that folks also look to the same players to give input. So until we like actually share these spaces with people, it's going to be the same folks. I think I grew up feeling very starved for Blackness. Like there was like, I didn't see myself represented in the city. I didn't see myself represented on TV or anywhere, right? Even in school, like I was always the only. And that's just not the case anymore, which is a beautiful thing, that to not be the only in a space. There's no like lack of fear that's going to be retaliation for I spoke up and said like, oh, I think that there should be more people of color here. Did you intentionally like gather people of color to like get input for this thing? And I feel like in the past, like I wouldn't say nobody, but I think a lot of folks would have been scared of what the backlash would be in making a statement like that. And now people are saying the thing. I feel like I've always been an outspoken, like since I was young and not unafraid to perform. And I think that I was taken advantage of a lot is because I was like the young Black girl that was unafraid to say the thing and do the thing. And it like in hindsight, I'm kind of like, I don't think I needed to be there. And I don't think that I needed to share what I shared. But that's, why I do feel like I am a trusted adult, because I've experienced so many things that I'm like, I don't want that. And I don't want that for the young people that I work with. I want to see the insignia. Like, I think that there's been Black folks here. There's been Black communities here. There were over 30 sites in the Underground Railroad that you would never know happened in this city. So I want to see that we've made our mark here. I want folks to feel like the presence that we've had here mattered. So that is one thing for sure.